Without this principle, there's no science. This is so fundamental. If someone refuses to accept, and in fact, this is the major bone of contention, or you see a different viewpoint between a person who believes in Allah and who does not believe in, who rejects Allah and believes in this principle. This principle is a belief. It is not out of logical necessity. You cannot prove it. You cannot show it. You cannot demonstrate it. You have to accept it. What is this principle? It is called the principle of the uniformity of nature. You know, fancy name, meaning what is happening today is similar to what has happened in the past. So if I take this thing and I drop it at this table, I am making an assumption that if this table and myself existed 20 years ago in the same location, the same thing will happen. But you can think about, see, that this very fact is a very problematic assumption. How can you prove that? You are making the assumption that if you drop this thing today, this is exactly what would have happened 20 million years ago, when no one existed. So if you do not accept this principle, then you cannot do science. You cannot do science. You cannot do science. Okay? Just want to keep this one here before I forget to mention this in this context.
So the standard model theory, everything is based on this principle.
Every science is based out of this principle. If you cannot accept this principle, then you have a serious problem with science.
And there's just to believe it. There's none, you can't prove it.
How can you prove this thing? How? Let me ask you. The only way to prove this thing is to go back in time and do the experiment. You cannot go back in time. The only way you can prove that this thing fell exactly at the same rate at 9.8 meters per second squared is to go back 65 million years ago, measure it, come back and say, you know what? This is what happened.
And you got to be sure that your measuring scale is perfectly okay.
Yeah, of course. That itself, all the methodological things has to be in place, right? Okay. Okay. David Hume, the most eminent philosopher of his time, which Fox News likes very much, called this the problem of induction. And there is no way. See, it is not that it is incorrect. Please try to understand. We are not saying this is incorrect. We are not saying this is false. What we are saying here is
it's a belief.
Is a belief. It could be true, it could be false, but you have to take a position on it. You can't prove it logically. Why is it it is not a logical necessity for the laws of physics or for the laws of science to be the same or to be similar. It is not a logical necessity. In fact, I don't want to confuse, that's why I don't want to give you examples of how this, I don't want to confuse people here. So I'll leave it like that and I'll come back later on after making
so how do you know we are not confused?
Sorry?
How are you sure that we are not confused?
I hope you're not.